Welcome back, Fox 51 Good Day is your local election headquarters. The first presidential debate of the 2024 campaign season has wrapped up. President Biden and former President Trump touched on several topics during the debate last night, including ongoing border and immigration issues, the state of our economy, and reproductive rights. Now we're here live this morning with Smith County Democratic Chairman Hector Garza to discuss how the parties viewed, as well as how he viewed last night's debate. Good morning, Hector. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us early this morning.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks. So my first question for you this morning, Hector, your initial takeaways from watching last night's debate.
Well, last night's debate, it was a little less interesting than we thought they were. The fireworks weren't explosive as we anticipated them being. I think both gentlemen acted pretty decent. There were a lot of insults back and forth, a lot of you done this to the economy, you done this, but basically I think both candidates pretty much stuck to the issues, stuck to the American issues, and spoke out about what we wanted to hear, what we wanted to listen to in their policies.
Speaking of the southern border here, because of course that's a huge issue at this point in time in our country, how do you think President Biden handled questions on that last night from the moderators?
President Biden stumbled a little bit on it. I think he could have had a better reform policy. I think it's in the works. He's working on it. I think he's having a very hard time trying to get bipartisan legislation passed on the border. I think that if the Republicans and the Democrats had sat down long ago, then something would have been done already about the southern border. But the refusal both parties to sit down, or the Republicans to sit down with Democrats, has made it very hard to fix the southern border issue.
And of course, you know, many topics were discussed last night, and of course, Biden and Trump both took shots at each other regarding their stances on abortion. Who do you think Americans at this point in time trust the most to kind of deal with that, where everybody's kind of satisfied? Maybe not everybody's going to be satisfied by it, but who do you think they trust more on that particular issue?
I'd have to say Biden. The words that were tossed around last night, there was a lot of truth to it. There were a lot of misled facts to it. Biden was accused of, the Democrats and Joseph Biden were accused of having late-term abortions towards the 9 months and even after the 9 months, which is impossible. You can't have abortion after a baby is born. But I think that the overall game plan, the overall comprehensive game plan that Biden has, I think the people are trusting that a little bit more.
And with the economy, of course, we know that's a major issue going into this election. Were you satisfied with Biden's talking points on that, if he does get reelected come November, how he's going to continue to address it?
Yes. Biden came in pre-pandemic. Of course, Trump came in during the last year is when COVID hit. And so he adopted the last year of COVID, the last year of the pandemic. And Biden got the last 3 years of it, so almost his whole term. And since he received that, he's been bouncing back and he's been fixing the economy, and he's been doing a very good job. So what he has planned for the future as far as the inflation rates and everything else, I think he's going to come out ahead. Today, the lowing cost of families and everyday expenses is lower. More people are working today than ever in history, and they're making more money. He did rescue the economy, and he changed the course of the pandemic. So I like the way this is going, yes. Finally,
Hector, really quick, who do you think won the debate last night?
I have to say Joe Biden did. I have to say Joe Biden did. He did stumble and fall, but then again, we know that Joe Biden has never been the eloquent speaker. He 4 years ago, if you look at him, he's still the guy that mumbles. He's still the guy that is not as eloquent, that gets confused with his words. And not a whole lot's changed today. He was that way again last night. Do I wish he could have done better? Yes. But I think that as long as his policy and his focus remain the way they are today, then this country is going to be okay for the next 4 years.
All right, Hector, thank you so much for stopping by to be with us here this morning. We really, really appreciate it. And I also want to remind our viewers this morning, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour of Fox 51 Good Day, we'll have on Smith County Republican Chair David Stein live in studio to also give us his thoughts and reaction to last night's presidential debate.